So I don't know really why are you clapping so long time. I didn't say something yet and didn't. Oh my goodness. So guys, it's so nice, and it's such an honor for me to be with you here. And to be honest, I didn't prepare any speech, no sermon today, no. I want to say something to you, but I want to say something that you want to know, something you like to hear. So actually, I would like you to start asking me questions. If you have any questions, just if you have, any questions. Yeah.
How long have you been a pastor?
I have been a pastor from the time I was ordained. I was 26, now I will be 42, so how many years?
16.
So, 26, 36, 16 years. But 4 years before I was responsible for a church. I was the deacon of the church, but with the responsibility of the pastor. So actually it's almost 20 years, I would say. Yes?
What is your favorite Bible verse?
Oh, everybody is asking me these questions. Not the great commandment, love God with all of you, right? With all your heart, with all your strength, with all of your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. The Great Commission, Matthew 28, verses 18 to 20. And I love the verses from the Ephesians 3 about the church, because it's all my life about church, and I think these are very powerful verses in the Bible. Yes.
Has the war challenged you or your church in any way from just challenging you guys?
Yes, it challenged us in many ways. It turned our life, we say, upside down. You have this, yes, from feet to my. Yes, many things has changed, and what should I say? First 4 days of the war, I was frozen. None of us knew what to do, because we knew the war is in Ukraine, and I woke up from bombs being exploding somewhere far away. It would feel for you, maybe so you understand, have you heard when the tire from the big truck exploding? When it's driving, so if it would explode just on the street next to the church, you would hear it, right? So that's the same, about the same sound I heard the first day when the war began, 24th of February, so almost a year ago. It was 4:30 or 5 in the morning. I woke up, and we had all the news and all the Western countries say there will be a war, but I didn't believe. I thought it's sometime media propaganda, or I didn't know what games they were playing, but I didn't believe that. And when this began, I woke up and I couldn't sleep anymore, but I was thinking, what should I do? Should I wake up my children, my wife, and say, because they were sleeping, what we do next? Should we take our belongings, things we need, just pack our backpacks, sit in a car and drive somewhere, go away, or what should I do? And we didn't know for several days what to do. But what has challenged us, it's when the first bomb exploded in the village of my mother. It's about 10 miles away from our house. Fortunately, it exploded pretty far away from houses. It just fell in the middle of nowhere, just in some people's vegetable gardens. And when it exploded, there was a big hole in the ground about the size where you are sitting. And as deep as this, so it was a big hole, and it was like an earthquake from this bomb. So after this, I understood what we have to do as the church. We have to take as many people as possible from our church, from our village, and take them to the safe place. So first would be children and women. And we would try to do this, and among them there was my family, but also in general we sent out 250 people away from the country. We tried also to help people to evacuate from Kyiv, because Russian state so they tried to surround Kyiv, but they couldn't, so we could still get in the city from one side and take people, those who were trying to flee. So there were many other challenges over this year.
So what have you been doing to recover in the past time since, what have you guys been doing?
What we have been doing during the last year?
Yeah.
So, in general, for myself, I was traveling back and forth between Netherlands and Ukraine, because we sent the biggest part of our church to Netherlands, and actually there was our church. We started the Ukrainian church in Netherlands. Most of them at the beginning have been from our church, but also other Christians and other non-Christians started to attend. So we had a church from the beginning there, like 150 people, and there was a lot of things to organize and to do. But the same way, our church was challenged back in Ukraine, because many ministers left, and there was not many people to serve in the church. Before the war started, we had a group of the youth group was about 40 people, and when the war began, I think 35 young people left. So we have no youth group anymore. The same was with the children ministry. Almost every child left. So we, before war, our church, the average age was very young. But then when they all left, we only the men and elderly people left at the church. So the church really changed just in a moment. What?
The lights on the piano on.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What it means to me, for me to be, why? Oh, that's a good question. Thank you. Yes, because I felt, yeah. Maybe this answer will be strange in the moment, at the beginning, but even after I became a pastor, I didn't feel myself a pastor. I didn't feel at the beginning it's my calling, because when I had theological education, I knew God wants me to go to this village of Reya, and at that time there was three believers and a group of little group of maybe 5 teenagers and 5 little children, and that was not a church. But I went there because I believed I was only 22 years old. So I thought I will go there, I will live with these people, I will try to, I will teach Bible these children and these young people, and hopefully they will become later Christians. I prayed about them, and I believed I will take them every time to our mother church, which was in the other village. And this is what we do for the first 4 years. So I would live in the village, so you must, for you to, by car it's 20 minutes away. So for you are driving maybe bigger distances from where you live to Brandywine. But for Ukrainian understanding, that was a big distance, because at that time almost no people had their own car. So they could only go with me to the church because I had a car and I could take them to the church on Sunday morning. But the rest of the church life, their church life, was provided by me. Well, I thought of myself as just as their friend, as their brother, but not a pastor. But then with every year, several people would become Christians. And they didn't think of me as a pastor, just as their friend. But somehow later we realized that we have over 20 Christians. And we told, okay, we need a pastor. Who will be our pastor? And naturally, I became this leader. But I always felt, I was praying, God, I am not a pastor. Maybe I am a preacher. Maybe I am a teacher, but I'm not a pastor. I didn't think of myself as a pastor. So I had to realize a little later that I am trying to run away from what I am already is. What I am, no, what's I already am. Yeah. So that's how I became a pastor. So because in Ukraine and America it's a little different. We don't have in Ukraine almost no pastors they are not supported by church. They are not paid by church. They don't live from the church offerings. So I made my own living from a business that I started, and my ministry was a volunteering ministry as everybody else's, and I tried to encourage by this other people and say, look, I live like you, I work and I minister, so you can do just the same what I do. Every one of us, if we do something for the Lord together, we can do much more than we do it separately. So that's how, I don't know if it's an answer for you. Yeah, that's a good question. Many people were fleeing just to a safe place, and the safe place was behind the country. So they wanted just to. Every church was doing this. It's not only our church. It was churches became hubs that would help people just get out of the country. And most of the churches, what they did, they understood it's their mission to bring people to the border and then leave them there. And they should just pass the border. Everyone was allowed to pass through. If they even have no documents, they still could go. No passport, no. They could those first days they could do this. So, and when they would go to, most of people would go to Poland. And in Poland, there were volunteers from Poland, from Germany, from all the European countries, and they would make refugee centers, and they were trying to arrange where to take, so people would scatter all over the Europe as a result. What we did it in a little different way. Because we had a good long relationship with the Dutch Christians, and part of my family, my brother-in-law is a Dutchman, and we had two deacons of the church, they are Dutch, and we had many friends in Netherlands, like we have now many friends in US. So if your country would be closer to us, like Netherlands, so I would call to Pastor Nate, for example, or to Brad Dorch, or to Matthew, and say, we need your help. Can you help us? And they would say, yes, we can. And so I put this burden on them, and so they would come to the border, organize transportation, pick up people, and they would take them to their country, and they would find housing for them and just take care about them. For the first group was very big, 50 people. They didn't know 60 people. They didn't know what to do with such a big group. So they went to the mayor of the city and told him, can you take this group of people? So the mayor gave the gym, it was bigger gym than this, like YMCA, next to you, and they make little walls and make mattresses, beds, and so our group lived there for 3 weeks. So that was the way. I'm sorry, too many. Back there, somebody is raising the hand. In our area, in our village, there was no fightings. Praise the Lord, everything is, nothing is broken, nothing is, only the men that went to the army, some of them died, and I went for their funeral. I think only in our village, in our town, in which lives little less than 1,000 people, 3 men, we had funeral, and some people disappeared. No one knows where they are. So that's the war for us in our area. Yes. Yeah, I will not tell you much about sanctions. I hope they helped for Russia to become weaker. But for sure, Ukraine would not survive in the battles if not the help from your country, because USA is the leader among those over 50 countries that are supporting Ukraine. They are leader, they are sending more finances and more weapons. Of course, Great Britain helps a lot, but without that military support, Ukrainian army wouldn't be able to stand against Russian army. Yes.
How was the faith of the Christians that are still there that didn't leave? Has it changed at all? Has it made them more vocal, more Has it, you know, affected the faith of the people who stayed?
Yeah, it's. I think it's universal. Faith of the people becomes stronger when the testing periods come, when the sufferings, when the fear are coming. People usually are tending, either they are leaning toward God or backing forward. What I saw, that people in general started to lean to God. There is a saying in Ukraine that at the battlefield there is no atheists. So everyone is praying to somebody. Everyone understands that if God will not protect us, and you know, Ukraine was in the position of the what's the word of the sacrifice. I mean, it's we of the victim. We are the victim because we were begging God to protect us. Yes, so people that never attended the church or very seldom attend, just attend the church, our Baptist church. Before war, they started to attend church after war began. So in general, people started to look for churches, and there, I think war had something great to do in the hearts of people about their faith. Yes. I'm sorry, I don't hear you.
Are people still leaving, or are they pretty much staying put?
Yeah. There were periods when more people were coming back than those that were leaving, because like I myself, I was going back and forth, and there was people like me going back and forth, but even people who left, sometimes they would just go back, because, for example, in our church we had people who first, it was dangerous to be in our place, so wife and 2 children, for example, could leave, and the husband couldn't leave. So he stayed back in Ukraine, and they stayed maybe 2 months somewhere, for example, in Netherlands, and they see that there is not, the danger went away from our, where we live, from that territory. So they decided to go back to their husbands just to unite the family. So people were moving back and forward, but now I think, yeah, people, there still some people are living, but fleeing, but that's not the same as it was before. Some more questions? Yes. Sorry, I again don't hear you.
Are you ever upset with God because of the things that happen?
No, I never been upset with God, and I think this is a wrong theology, wrong perception of God. I believe that we live in the evil world, and God has to do nothing with the evil. God is a good God. Like I cannot be, for example, I cannot be. What's the word did you use for God? Upset. I cannot be upset with our president, Zelensky. He's a good president, right? But there is war. We live in the evil world. We happen to live in the evil world, and the war is in Ukraine. It's with the military and guns, but the war is happening all over the globe on the spiritual level. So every one of us has our own battles and our own wars, and God is for us. He is not against us. So I never was upset with God. Yeah.
Not theological questions. What's your favorite movie?
Oh. Yeah. I think of some good movies that I watched. Of course, there is one movie that is considered to be one of the greatest movies, and I like that movie by many. It's Escape from the Shawshank. The one movie, Christian movie that I like is called Mission. Have you seen that movie? That's my favorite, probably. It's old movie.
Can you introduce your family?
Yes.